What seems cool but isn't. I feel like when some people do that they're trying to get validation for what caused them to stay awake. Like, if someone was worrying about their job interview next week and it kept them from sleeping, they might subconsciously brag about not sleeping as a way to get validation for that issue, especially if they can't really tell if it's an issue. I'm not saying that makes it okay or cool, but it could explain the behavior in a possibly less "oh that person's just a jerk" way. My dad's a former biker and crashed his Harley recently. I don't remember the details, but he ended up with a broken pelvis, fractured legs, and a concussion because he hit his head off a concrete barrier. Had he not been wearing his helmet, he probably would have cracked his skull open and died. My dad had a motorcycle. I absolutely hated it. He would insist it was safe because he wore a helmet and followed the rules of the road. One day we was driving in his car on the highway and saw a Harley he just thought was beautiful. He pulls out his phone to record it for a minute and ends up recording this guy getting cut off by a car, hit by a truck and decapitated. He was a police witness to the accident. It made the news. He sold his bike the next day. I have Asperger's, so when girls play hard to get, I take it as them not liking me, so I start ignoring them, and then they get mad at me, and I get mad at them for getting mad at me for no reason. I have hostile relationships with half of the girls in my social circle. I hated this shit. Not only did I feel bad for the teachers, but now I'm wasting my time listening to this dumb kid who thinks he's funny make mean and stupid outbursts and jokes. In my experience, this only happened in my first 2 years of high school, and the kids mellow out starting junior year. If it's because we got more mature or because I started taking more honors and app courses around that time, and the kids who took those classes tended to be more mature and take their studies seriously. With most of Australia in lockdown, my poor mother has to teach online, and she has some of the most awful kids. Had a mother harass her because her son was really trying but the work was too overwhelming and he didn't get it done. He also had not shown up to one lesson since quarantine began. Never really got this, it just seems awful. Kids can be pretty mean. I remembered there was once a new teacher who came to my school to teach and start off her teaching career, but she ended up leaving a month later. My class gave her absolute shit for no reason because they hate the subject the class was taught to a couple of times to no fruition. She did nothing wrong too, just wanted to do her job. And this was in primary school, might I add. We were like 10. I was typically not that bad, but I had this English teacher senior year that had seen over 100 Grateful Dead shows. He always stared off into space. His clothes were always wrinkled and you could tell he no longer had passion for teaching. I gave that guy hell. I felt kind of bad. Think he sort of liked me though. My favorite memory was when I asked him in front of the entire class what the most hits of acid he has ever taken at once was. Guy looks up like he is recollecting some event from his past and goes, "Now Ian, you know us teachers aren't supposed to talk about that." Same happened at my primary school. At the start of year 6, my class had to move to a new campus so the younger kids at my school could learn in our campus. At the new campus there was this midday supervisor. She did nothing wrong and wasn't a horrible person at all. One day my teacher had a rant about how midday came to him and sat with him and told him in tears that everyone had been ratting on about her and making fun of her. We had more than 2 midday, but everyone knew which midday he was talking about. Damn. I felt bad for her. We're all moving into new schools and I just hope the younger kids treat her better. I was in 6th grade. During the last period of the last day of school, all the kids in the English classroom started standing on their desks and chanting "Fire Miss, teacher name." It made the teacher break down crying in class, which made the kids even more vicious. I didn't like the teacher that much, but damn, I felt so bad for her. Since it was the last day of school, all the kids got off the hook scot-free. Being disrespectful to teachers is no joke. While I don't disagree at all, there's the converse is quite common and very annoying as well. Being one, teachers that flaunt their superiority, kinda treat you like you've done something wrong when you haven't because they think they know you're going to do something wrong. or some BS like that, and do shit like handing out demerits for nothing or constantly threatening with disciplinary actions. And 2. People who defend said teacher because of vague, grapey reasons like kids are rebellious. Picking fights. Many men put on a don't give a shit attitude to impress people, sometimes particularly women, around them. The bad boy phenomenon, quite popular among kids between 18 to 23. What's worse is some women, of the same-ish age, buy into that and enable them to act that way. But the older you grow, the stupider the concept appears. What's really cool is diffusing a situation not only without letting anyone get hurt but also finding a middle ground with the opponent. That's fucking cool. One time this jerk was acting like he was about to fight my boyfriend. I was pretty certain that he was just trying to show off in front of me, so I just walked away immediately and shut the door behind me. It was hard because part of me was freaking out that my boyfriend was in danger. The guy was pretty big, but somehow I just knew that, without an audience, the guy would back down. Thankfully, the situation did diffuse the second I left. I will never understand why some women are impressed by this behavior. Not only do I find it unattractive, I find it absolutely disgusting. Working at GameStop seems like a cool and fun place to work, but it's quite opposite. The employees are threatened their jobs if they don't get enough pre-orders or warranties sold. You are pushed about it on the daily. Plus it got really annoying when people don't listen or read a receipt about return policies and then come in super angry they can't return their open game for full retail value, or bring in Black Ops 2 and swear at you for telling them their game is basically worthless, and they proceed to tell you they paid $60 when it came out. Or the absolutely disgusting consoles and controllers traded in, covered in dirt and grime. Of course when we refuse them they drop the "I barely even used it" or "I just bought it a week ago" line. Absolutely. My best friend ran a shop. She started as a key holder because, like you said, she was a gamer, so she thought it would be a fun place to work and get a good discount. But they're so strict with their rules and hours and procedures and everything that it made her life more complicated than working at a video game store should have ever done. She would wake up having nightmares about mislabeling something in the computer because one simple thing like that could have gotten her fired, even though you could fix it in 2 minutes. Plus she was the only female manager in both of the stores that she ran and always had the weirdest people wait for her. She couldn't go to her car without security because people who shopped at GameStop would wait for her to leave and try to talk to her in the parking lot at 11 at night. And GameStop had no issue with having her be alone in the building for closing, when I think legally, at least in the state of Michigan, you're supposed to have 2 people in the building at all times when closing. And when she tried to ask about keeping somebody else on staff so that she felt more comfortable being in the building at night, they said no because they didn't want to pay them, and she said it's a safety concern for herself and told them about the people that wait in the parking lot, and they just told her to park closer to the building. Used to be store leader at a couple of stores in the same district. I think 2015 to 2018 were probably the last couple of years that I enjoyed working for GameStop. At the time, the company seemed to be correcting their wrongs, allowing for leaders to have more independence to do what they think is right to help both the guest, customer, and their monthly P&L. Then everything changed. Hierarchy in my own personal district went to hell when our DL resigned. He was a hard ass, but he made our district run like a pristine watch. Then they shifted our focus to collectibles and tried to compete with Amazon using new ship-from store methods that were hit and miss. There was a time when we purchased gift cards, which was just as bad as buying back games, if not worse, because of how skewed the margins were. It's been a couple of years since I left, but when I have a chance to visit my friends who still work there, they say things are beginning to improve, which I'm glad to hear. I actually really like this one. I have a real dry sense of humor and I can be a bit mean when I joke around, but I always make sure people know that if I offend them to let me know and I will cut it out, but always show respect to people I don't know or don't talk to on a daily basis. They might be having a bad day or they just might not like those kinds of jokes. It's not for everyone, so I'm only addicted to people I like and close to, and if they are okay with it and find it humorous, just like I like it when people make fun of me. Having anxiety. Having unchecked anxiety issues that you don't have the money or resources or tools to control is torture for yourself personally and sometimes for your relationships, romantic, friendly, family. You constantly let that part of your brain run wild and sometimes cause you to do stupid shit. Now everyone probably feels annoyed being around you. You can't go out and just be without worrying about other people, and your friends don't understand and think you just care too much and being weird. Just stop caring so much becomes a phase you hear often that does nothing but make you feel guilty. Like, is my shortened lifespan cool too? What about the brain damage? Because studies show that depression shortens your life and damages your brain. I'm all for destigmatizing mental illness, but I hate when people act like it's a trend, like my brain and body will probably never fully recover from years of mental illness, and no, ADHD is not a superpower. Being open about mental health is an important step for individuals and for society. It's not cool to be depressed, but it's not cool to not be depressed, either. I am fairly open and casual about my depression and I find it has helped me a lot. I agree that faking mental illness is bad, but I hope no one gets the wrong impression and thinks they should bottle up and keep their mental problems a secret. Yes, it can be hard to tell if they're having mechanical issues or if it's loud on purpose. I've thought about carrying around a gift card to an auto repair place to give to someone with a loud car, assuming that they're not being obnoxious intentionally. They're on par with people that have face tattoos in my opinion. We get it. You want attention. Live backed up to a super busy street. I never get a moment of peace from these assholes. My cat needs to be carried into the yard and petted to be able to go to the bathroom because he's so scared of the noise. Edit. I wanted to clear up some worries about the cat going to the bathroom outside. The cat has a box inside that he uses but hates. He was declawed before we got him and any litter is uncomfortable on his paws. We have pillow pads and many boxes of different litter set up for him to use when he's inside. He is allowed outside, supervised in our gated yard, during the day and prefers to do his business out there. His vet approves of his time spent outside because he is diabetic and it allows him to exercise. Thanks to his exercise he actually recovered full use of his back legs, which were left numb and hard to use after he got diabetes. He is not left unsupervised in the yard and has never tried to escape, nor does he hunt local wildlife. Thanks to anyone who read this. I too disapprove of cats being allowed outside unsupervised and not in yards, as they are an invasive species and can get hurt this way. Smile. I appreciate everyone who tries to convince others not to let their cat wander free. He has a litter box too, but prefers to go outside to use the bathroom during the day because he is declawed, not by us. Was already declawed when we got him. His vet prefers him to have supervised outdoor activity because it gets him exercise and he really does enjoy the yard on quieter days. He's not allowed out of the yard and he doesn't hunt. I'm firmly on the indoor cat bus, but we do allow our older cats supervised outdoor activity to give them exercise, and they have never gotten out of the yard or tried to in the 12 years we've had them. I do not support letting cats wander outside alone, especially out of a backyard. That is also illegal where I live. Thank you for the concern, and I hope this doesn't come off as a rude rant. I just wanted to let you know the full circumstances of his time allowed outside so that you know that I'm not being careless with my cat. Smile. I also appreciate what you are doing because so many people lead their cats to premature deaths by allowing them to wander alone. Totally agree. The only reason my cats are allowed in the yard is because they are supervised and have no interest in exploring past the yard. My youngest cat is not the same as them, so he's not allowed out without a harness, and I totally die on that hill too. Smile. I swear I'm arguing about it with people in my neighborhood all the time. They also are the reason that lost cats are hardly found. Since everyone just assumes they're supposed to be out, it drives me crazy. I swear man, people worship him as if that puts their miserable selves slightly above everyone else because they're on the same side with Elon. I really don't get why people do this. What is the point of worshipping a trillionaire on Twitter and claiming that we don't need to tax the rich since they are what keeps this world going? Fuck them and fuck Elon Musk. Keeping extremely dangerous and unreasonable animals as pets, big cats, bears, hyenas, crocodiles, apes, venomous snakes, etc. Most people don't realize how bad those animals are as pets. Once they are fully grown, you basically bet your life on a coin flip every time you interact with them, and their care requirements are insane. Most of the time they become territorial and aggressive when they reach adulthood, so people tend to get rid of them to replace them with new babies and start over again, which leads to rescue centers being overwhelmed with abandoned exotic animals. Not to mention that many of those animals come from illegal traffics that destroy entire animal populations in the wild. It's especially true for primates. Most of the people owning these kinds of animals actually care more about themselves than the animals. They use the animals as a status symbol, to boost their ego, and also to feel powerful by controlling such beasts, often with abuse. And most of the time the animals are not even kept in proper conditions or enclosures. To me it's just pathetic to look at, and I also feel sad for the animals. Working as a non-indie game developer requires a high skill set. You're substantially underpaid compared to other developers in the field. You work extremely long hours with tight and often unrealistic deadlines, and you're just looking at code and fixing bugs all day anyway. Pretty much the same as application developers who get paid 3+ times more than you do. Whenever this gets brought up, everyone discusses how it's not great for lubrication, easy to slip and fall, etc., but nobody ever says the real reason shower sex is not fun. One person invariably does not get to stand in the water and has to pretend it's really fun to stand there damp and cold, unless you have one of those fancy rich person multi-head shower stall things, in which case I guess that is pretty cool. Growing up, alcohol. I would always have people tell me, dude, when you're 21 you'll have the ability to get fucked up whenever you want, and I, being a stupid teenager, was like hell yeah dude. Now I'm 21 and spending $15 on a case of beer just to drink it every once in a while doesn't really seem interesting anymore. Getting a top-of-the-line model smartphone, all you're really doing is paying for a few extra features and slightly better quality. By the end you'll be throwing it away after 2 or 3 years, so it can be shipped off to the ever-growing e-waste junk pile of toxic hazards in Pakistan, India, China, and parts of Africa, where the poor citizens strip away the few precious metals, leaving the rest as toxic waste. Have you ever blasted music with the windows down and thought you were cool and everyone would aspire to have the best taste in music like you? How many people have you driven by who had their music blasting and thought, hey, that person is cool? No, oh, you just thought, god damn, that guy is a prick. So why do we think otherwise if it's our own? Jumping on someone's backpack on the floor since your class has no plonkers assigned yet, and then acting like a baby after getting asked to get off 3 times, then being called an a-hole, then being a wimp saying I would have punched you if you were not a girl, but in reality, he was just scared because he was way shorter than me. Then this messed up old cut short ugly dumb A decides he's gonna play the victim after breaking my phone by saying I was talking bad about him, but in reality, you were just facing his general direction in a group that's in a circle and told a funny joke. I've trained for martial arts. I competed in judo and judo only. I was so focused on not hurting the other person I struggled to enjoy it, until I saw them pulling my twin's hair as he used to have long hair. Then I went balls on them and instincts almost made me punch one in the face, but quickly stopped mid-punch and continued. I think for some people it's really fun to compete, but it can easily lead to injuries if you do something wrong on accident or purpose or someone else does. You know, the kids in school who act all tough and wear a hoodie probably with weed, fuck you, or something like that on it, who also don't care about the rules or what the teachers say and talk constantly and very loudly, prolonging everything the teachers are doing and make you life miserable. They are the same people who have played soccer their whole lives and play everything, while breaking every rule, like their life depended on it.